What is this?
Oh, he promised he'd leave it clean and tidy afterwards.
Who?
Peanuts. He reached triple digits.
Peanuts is 100?
No, Twitter followers. He's got 100 Twitter followers and he invited them all over here for a party.
Well, the show's about to start and I'm not sitting on that because that's monkey poo and that's monkey vomit. It looked like it happened at once. So help me put this...
Oh. Welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers.
That brings you your weekly dose of gaming goodness. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex.
And this week we jump into the giant red barrel of an open world sandbox that is Just Cause 2.
Plus we check out the latest adult offering for the Wii with Red Steel 2.
And we catch up with Ray over in Europe.
But first, can you guess the game for this week? Right, you better go read the news and I'm gonna try and clean this up.
Okay. Games giant Electronic Arts has come up with a plan to test the online marketplace with premium downloadable content prior to a game's release. This would essentially come in the form of large, paid-for-game demos along the lines of Battlefield 1943 that will allow EA to gauge the popularity of a product before committing to its full retail release. Feedback from gamers may even influence features in the final product if they're willing to shell out for a demo in the first place. Valve has introduced a new feature to its Steamworks development platform, microtransactions. This allows developers to seamlessly integrate the ongoing spending of real-world money for in-game items. These transactions are instantaneous, meaning gamers don't have to leave the game they're playing if they want to splash out on some shiny new horse armor. The upside for gamers is that it might encourage developers to experiment with free-to-play games that rely on making their money back through ongoing microtransactions by players.
Hungry for more, Mama?
Yes!
McDonald's in Japan has introduced a new method for training staff, the Nintendo DS.
It's a whole new recipe for fun.
McDonald's Japan will spend around 200 million yen, or around 2.4 million Australian dollars, to develop the eSmart training software and fit out 3,700 plus Japanese Macca's outlets with 2 DS units apiece. These special consoles will be used to instruct new employees on the global restaurant chain's cooking procedures. Looks like Cooking Mum has finally got some competition.
Good game.
I've had my fair share of gaming injuries, callous fingers, sprained wrist, RTS shoulder, but this one really takes the cake.
Tell me about it. Looks like my sword arm just wasn't prepared for the kind of motion plus workout that Red Steel would put it through.
Following its first attempt at the first-person brawler genre, Red Steel 2 attempts to inject a bit of reality into the swordplay by adding Wii Motion Plus. The swordsman finds himself in a city in the middle of a Wild West-style desert, with his sights set on avenging his fallen clan, hacking his way through a group of baddies known as the Jackals.
Ain't that poetic?
You begin your training from your Mr. Miyagi-like teacher who teaches you some basic blocks and parries before you set out to make life miserable for the Jackals. You've got a gun for some quick shoot and pistol sling action, and I actually quite like the setting badge. It had this real Western flair as you reloaded and twirled your gun as a tumbleweed rolled past, but then you've also got this awesome samurai sword and this Asian-influenced architecture, and even the soundtrack sounded like it was lifted straight out of Firefly.
Training is easy to follow, where you'll learn such moves as the Eagle and the Tiger.
Learn the way of the Tiger.
With some pretty impressive finishing moves once you master the combos. Gunplay has a very arcade Time Crisis-like feel to it, and enemies will pop up from behind cover and you use your Wiimote to pick them off, and that was great.
Yeah, I did find the camera control a bit difficult to navigate at times though. With this game you use the nunchuck to move around, but then you use the Wiimote to control the camera and direction, but you also use the Wiimote as your sword, which you'll be waving around like crazy, so that got a bit confusing and messy.
Yeah, I found if I lose my aim circle out of the screen, then I have to mess around for a bit to find it again and head off in the right direction. And while you do get used to it pretty quickly, it never gets any less annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it is an adjustment, but I suppose some concessions need to be made for motion sensor gaming. The payoff is when you do get those moments of fluidity, you know, just rounding a corner, popping off a few rounds, and then hacking your way to victory.
I was surprised we got anything done at all though, Hex, because the doors just take so long to open. I think it's through that one.
Oh, okay.
That's bollocks.
Bollocks!
Oh, I know, I waited half my life for those doors to open. I mean, I know it's a loading thing, but it was noticeably bad. There are a few bugs too. I mean, that might have just been our debug code, but sometimes if an enemy was hard to reach and I couldn't get near them, or they were stuck somewhere, you know, I was locked onto them and I couldn't move on. I just had to reset.
It's one of the better looking Wii games I've seen. I like the style behind it, but the woman popping up demonstrating the Wii motion controls is a bit of a mood killer. It wouldn't have been that difficult to make it look more a part of the game. Just look at it. At least give her a hat.
Missions are all pretty samey, you know, fix this comm tower, kill this bad guy, blow up some trucks. And then you have to keep returning to your Mr. Miyagi base all the time to train and pick up new missions, which wouldn't be so annoying if the missions were longer, but they weren't. I just felt like I was repeatedly doing the same errand and then returning home again.
You can purchase upgrades and new weapons as you go, and I love the Tommy Gun Hex. It sounds just like a Tommy gun should. Cash will come to you in the form of cracking safes and, of course, smashing crates. Plenty of crate love for you, Hex.
Now, no one loves a good crate smashing more than me, Barjo, but in this case, I will make an exception. There are so many crates to smash here, and when it involved actually waving your arm up and down to smash them to pieces, it suddenly became less fun. My arms were already so sore from combat, and then when I was faced with armored goons, I was told to just simply swing wider and faster to break through their armor.
I can understand developers wanting to make a game more accessible, and trying to make something as close to real life will do that, but it's not always the best way to do it, especially if it hurts your arm by actually playing. I like this arm not hurting. I use it for a lot of things, and it really pulls you out of the immersive nature of a game when you're just doing this like crazy for hours on end.
Yeah, and I love swords. But the realistic swordplay in this wasn't enough to hook me either, and on top of that with the boring missions and the terrible story and voice acting.
I'm not sure. I think it was the way they were standing. Like they were on guard duty or something.
You know, it's a shame because this game is really unique in what it's tried to achieve. I don't see myself picking it up again. I'm giving it 6 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Ubisoft have taken a risk here, and while you can applaud them for that, it just doesn't quite work, and I can honestly say I had no fun playing this game. I'm giving it 5 out of 10. We caught up with the lead developer on Red Steel 2, Jason Vanderberg, at E3 last year, and that interview is up on the website.
Good game.
Just as the meteoric rise in the sale of hair products is credited with ending the world's financial crisis.
Really?
No. It's time to announce the winner of the Create a Final Fantasy inspired hairstyle competition.
It was a tough decision, so tough in fact that we've decided to award some runner-up prizes of some gaming bits and bobs, and those creative people are...
But there can be only one winner, and it's B listed with this cloud-inspired bouffant.
Congratulations to B-Listed and all the runner-ups, and please be sending us your contact details via the Good Game website so we can send you your fat loot. Hey, you can change the camera control.
What?
Yeah.
They'll never notice.
You never know.
Good game.
Occasionally when you're walking down the street getting your monthly dose of vitamin D, you may find yourself whistling, humming, or exterminating noobs to the theme of an awesome game. Theme tunes are an important part of your gaming experience, but more importantly, they're an obligatory addition to your life soundtrack. This week, we bring you our top 5. Big and brash, the theme tune to Halo was just perfect to open an equally big and brash game. Although sounding at times like an Irish jig on crack, there are enough synth strings and drums to underscore the rampant killing you'll be doing, but it also packs a surprising emotional punch with some Gregorian and Qawwali chants. Written and recorded over a 3-day period by Martin O'Donnell, the original theme underwent further revisions for Halo 2, which introduced some nifty electric guitar work by Steve Vai. Whilst Halo 3 went in another direction, upping the sophistication with the smoothness of classical piano. The soothing sound of MIDI tunes. Composed by Koji Kondo, music played a huge role in Ocarina of Time. The title became the first contemporary non-dance game to incorporate music making in its gameplay. This also resulted in a huge spike in the sale of real ocarinas as the game inspired a generation of kids and adults to play the real thing. Unfortunately, having the ability to wield a Nintendo 64 controller doesn't automatically mean that you can play a flute shaped like a potato. Disregarding the total failure by humans to play the ocarina though, this theme tune is still a worthy number 4. Move over John Williams. Nobuo Uematsu does epic and he doesn't even need an orchestra. One Winged Angel is undoubtedly the most memorable theme tune coming out of the entire Final Fantasy series. With lyrics stripped from Carmina Burana, an opera that's equally as epic, One Winged Angel took Final Fantasy VII to a ridiculous crescendo during the final confrontation with Sephiroth. It was the first tune in the series to feature digitized vocals, and stylistically the track was influenced by a fusion of Russian maestro Igor Stravinsky with the uber-cool guitarist Jimi Hendrix. All in all, it epicked us out, resulting in its 3rd position. Oh yes, it's the one and only Type A theme from the Game Boy version of Tetris. A cover version of Korobeiniki, a Russian folk song, arranged by Hirokazu Tanaka, this little ditty has burrowed its way so far into popular culture, a crowbar couldn't even pry it out. Luckily, it's also a great tune to punctuate life's mundane moments. Oh yes, at its predictable number 1 place is the overworld theme in Super Mario Bros. Another composition by maestro Koji Kondo, this tune is perhaps the most well-known video game tune on this planet. Ask your neighbour, anyone on the street, or your long-lost, totally noob cousin, and chances are they'll be able to hum it perfectly. Latin rhythms of the theme make it easy to boogie along to its 8-bit goodness, and like the other themes present in the Mario franchise, it's devilishly catchy and you'll be singing it in your sleep, dreaming of mushrooms, Koopa shells, and princesses. Since Super Mario Bros. Was released 25 years ago, the overworld theme has matured from a simple 8-bit video game tune to one of the most famous and memorable musical themes in the world. That's why it's number 1. So next time you need some more music to narrate your daily activities, check our top 5. We guarantee it'll make your life more memorable.
Good game.
Here, give me your PDA.
You want my PDA?
I need to download for you the intel on these gangs.
Okay. But if you mess with me, I will kill you.
The first Just Cause was repetitive and a bit dodgy, but undeniably had some pockets of fun.
Rico Rodriguez is back in Just Cause 2 with a tough new arsenal, a tough new engine, and with a mission to take down his former mentor and friend on the island of Panau. This involves blowing a lot of things up.
Montage?
Montage.
I've intercepted some radio bits and pieces.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt the big man's ego.
To unlock main storyline missions, Rico needs to cause chaos, and he can do this by destroying government structures and also helping out the local factions to expand their territory.
This involves some of the most exciting moments you could possibly imagine our tough hero getting himself into. Chasing missiles, hijacking airlines, and riding them like a surfboard, you name it. If you think it might be cool to do it, chances are Rico can.
And he does it all alongside some of the worst accents we've ever heard in a video game. Let's listen in.
If the government gets their hands on Carl, they'll sure come looking for me too. So as of right now, I'm over the bum.
The power plant is secured!
It is true that we have eyes and ears everywhere.
And guess what, Rico? You're gonna smoke them out into the open.
Barbecued pig, anyone?
It's not really a bad thing, though. I mean, I found myself just laughing at them mostly.
Yeah, you never get sick of causing chaos.
Now go cause as much damage as you possibly can.
Some of the missions you'll come across are just epic in nature. You'll find yourself just exploring the world, seeing something off in the distance like an oil rig or the Mile High Club, then you'll just parachute in and start running amok.
Yes, it's easy to get distracted, especially when you're rewarded so much for just blowing up government structures and collecting gear and health upgrades. Enemy AI isn't bad, they'll duck for cover and jump on Gatling guns. Kinda as intelligent as Saints Row 2's AI, but better looking. Each village and areas you discover has a percentage on it, which is for total things left to destroy and collect. Barjo, it was addictive trying to get 100% in all these spots.
Yeah, and finding that last one, that last collectible item or barrel to blow up can be really tricky, especially on the oil rigs. It's good that all the locations are marked on the map though, which means when you get to hour 9 and the difficulty kicks up a notch as the military upgrade their forces and start sending choppers at you simply by thinking about your face, you can actually go and get all those armor upgrades and get the extra cash so you can kit yourself out for the next mission.
Luckily, you have your trusty grapple hook, which is core to the gameplay for many reasons. You use it to Batman your way around buildings, latch onto vehicles, but you can leap onto them Pursuit Force style as well. It's also handy for taking out those pesky support choppers,
Mind if I borrow this?
launching yourself into the air to get about the place or get out of danger. The grapple can also be used to connect two objects, and experimentation will see some happy times such as connecting vehicles to the ground, hanging goons to the roof, or our personal favourite, connecting a goon to a propane tank and setting it free.
Get it out!
The grapple takes a few hours to get used to, and it completely ignores physics, which you'll especially notice when you're free-falling out of a plane and you use the grapple to close the distance between you and the ground. It's all great though, and it's only really rarely that it's going to frustrate you, and compared to something like the grapple that from Bionic Commando 3D, it's a joy to have.
I felt that when climbing some of the higher buildings, the camera tracking for the grapple could have been a bit better. You have to readjust the camera a lot, but I'm just not sure that there's even a better way to do it.
Because the grapple is so flexible, you just know there's going to be heaps of stunt videos online for this game, and it makes me so sad that there's no multiplayer here at all. But there is enough single player to keep any open world fan happy in this truly huge and beautiful sandbox. Dust and destruction is in crisp detail. And as you skim along the water, you'll see flashes of coral on the seabed, and the world just streams so well here. It's rare to find frame drops, and it's only now and then you notice the empty roads because vehicles are just out of the draw distance parameters.
As you're skipping over sandy plains and flying about the place, you really do notice that this is a big world, and a lot of it is on your screen at once. There's some clever design work here. You notice those points of interest in the distance, but not at the expense of your loading or frame rate.
The black market dealer will upgrade your gear and allow you to purchase new weapons and vehicles and extract you to other locations. We don't recommend you purchasing a boat in the middle of the street, though. It's always good to leave enough room when you buy a plane to take off.
What about that little intro video that plays every time you call the dealer? It's so freaking annoying. Like, we get it, he flies into hillbilly music. It's such a waste of time having to play that every single time you want to open up a menu.
How may I help you?
We don't have time for videos. There are explosions to be making. Explode, 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 explode. A part of me wonders that maybe a cover system could have helped this game, and definitely a better crouch system. You can change it in the options so that crouch is a toggle, but the default is to hold down the left stick, and it was all just a bit wonky donkey. While we're on settings, turn the motion blur off. It makes it a better looking game, in my opinion.
All units, we have reports of violence, sir. Report to location immediately.
The gunplay is good and there's a pretty forgiving aiming system, but it allows for precise shots too. And this eliminates the whole lock-on debate because if you just aim in the general direction, he'll compensate for it a bit. But not too much, so you still feel like you're aiming instead of spamming.
Yeah, I love that too, and nothing beats dual wielding an Uzi and a sawn-off shotgun. I call it the tickle boom. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Yes, a special mention to the shotguns. They're quite possibly some of the best open-world shotguns we've ever played with. The impact is really emphasized by the camera shake.
This is how open world mission progression should be. The main storyline missions are really far apart and all the ones in between, they're still really fun. It's not even fair to call them side missions, even though all the cutscenes for those ones hide the faces of the character speaking so they didn't have to bother doing all the lip syncing.
In my employ, a very clever and able hacker named Little Guy.
I want you to teach the government a lesson.
I want you to go to the airport and find this pilot.
And then there's ninjas.
I hate ninjas.
This was a great surprise, Hex. I didn't think I'd like it as much, and the demo just doesn't do it justice. You're just constantly wowed by the freedom it gives you and how good the world looks. This is a great game, and now I just find myself wanting every game to have a grapple, or it's not good enough. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
What a shame there's no multiplayer. You know, I can just picture us having jumbo jet races and grappling shenanigans. Still, there's much to destroy here, and it's fun destroying much. Along with some very nice sound design, I think you'll have a good time with this. I'm giving it 8.5.
And that concludes our broadcast day.
Good game.
Cat roulette?
Okay.
All right, are you prepared?
No, you can't be prepared for
Prepare the shield. You just do this as a shield. It's fine. Okay. No. I don't even know what that. Oh, I know what that is.
Oh, I don't want to look.
Oh, hi, Ray.
Hey, man.
Hi.
How you doing?
How's France?
I'm having an awesome time here, living up with stripy shirts and berets. How are you guys? How's the new show?
Yeah, good. It's weird presenting with a robot.
Yeah, but we're having heaps of fun, though we haven't really found anyone as good as you to report for us yet.
No reporter.
Well, I know I'm pretty irreplaceable, but I think there's a guy who'd be perfect for the job. His name is Ajax. He's a massive gamer who's studying law, and I think he'd produce some pretty brilliant stories for the show. I'll give him a call.
Yeah, that'd be great. But hey, while we've got you here, just tell us a bit more about France. How are things?
She totally nexted us.
Ajax, hey?
Hey Ajax.
Ray, how's it going?
Do you remember that reporter job on Good Game?
Yeah.
Can you get yourself down to the studio?
I'll be in there soon.
Ajax. didn't think you'd make it.
Such a mission getting here.
Well, welcome to the Den of Gaming, and what have you got for us?
First up, I'm visiting a guy who spent $300,000 on a gaming rig.
Just checking, do you like the video games?
Did you guess the game for this week? Did you guys guess it?
I guessed it. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. It was X-Men, the official game from Activision, the video game bridge between the second and third X-Men movies that let you play as Wolverine, Iceman, and Nightcrawler. The game's lead designer, Jason Vanderberg, now works for Ubisoft in Paris and is the one and only director of Red Steel 2.
I knew I smelled something rotten. That's probably your breath.
Nice work if you got that one. Next week, we're going to take a look at the latest mobile games as well as the expansion to Dragon Age Origins, Awakening.
And of course, Ajax will do his first story. Don't stuff it up.
And the latest addition to one of the most popular and successful franchises of them all, SingStar.
Drop by the forums to say hello and also to wish Ajax luck. And don't forget, you can catch Good Game Spawn Point over on ABC 3 at 7:25 p.m. on Saturday night. It has our review of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Till next time, gamers, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Barjo out.
Ajax out.
All right, show us your stuff. Oh, yeah.
What was that? Jazz hands. No jazz hands in the Den of Gaming. None. You all right in there, mate? Peanuts? All right, I'm coming in. What a train wreck.